Hey everybody, welcome to another episode of Unplugged Urban. This week we've got something very special here in Portland. It's very unusual. It's called good weather.
Sunshine. Not liquid sunshine, but actual sunshine.
We had real good weather this weekend. It was
Yes.
super nice. And we actually split up a little bit this weekend. That sounds bad. We didn't split up. We went our separate ways. That's still not better.
We did different things this weekend. I went to a yoga retreat in Newport, Oregon. And again, I was expecting it to be rainy and cold, which who cares? I'm at a yoga retreat. And it was beautiful. I didn't take cool enough clothes. I was really hot all weekend. But it was beautiful.
The only weirder thing than good weather in Portland is good weather in
At the
Newport.
beach.
At the beach, yeah.
In
'cause it's usually
October.
terrible weather at the
We
beach.
had people that were out surfing that said the water was warmer than they'd ever felt it. So.
Yeah. And it's usually pretty cold out there. Yeah. And this weekend, Annie was out of town at the U.S. Open
For racquetball.
For racquetball, she did really well. She got to quarterfinals in the Open division, which is the top amateur division. She got second place in the 24 and under division, so
Great.
super proud of her. And so it was just me and Ben at the house. We did a bunch of things around the house. The main thing we were going to work on this week is solar batteries. And last week, if you watch our episode, we found out that our solar batteries were underperforming, and we weren't really sure why. We talked about some of the possible things that could be wrong. We found out the issue with our batteries is something called sulfur crystallization. So we're going to tell you all about that. It's actually pretty common in lead acid batteries. I'm going to talk to you about the different types of batteries that you can use in a solar system, why we chose to go with lead acid batteries, and what we might go to someday if we could have our dream batteries, the batteries you've always dreamed of having. And
The ones that let me cook all day.
yeah, exactly. That's the idea. Danielle's going to show you a little bit of her yoga retreat weekend. And we went for a bike ride, which obviously you saw in the intro. And we're in kind of a special place. Tell us about where we're at.
We are at the Schweitzer Restoration Area. And it's off of the Springwater Trail close to Gresham. And it's a big plot of property that belonged to my family, my mom's side of the family, the Schweitzers. They farmed it with dairy and cattle and crops for over 50 years. And in 2007, I believe it was, well, before that it was sold to the city as a restoration green space. And in 2007, they rerouted Johnson Creek for flood, because Johnson Creek floods every year, and turned it into a beautiful green space. So that's where we are now.
There you go. In fact, the last thing that happened on this property with her family was her sister got married out at
the family was selling it to the city, and my sister wanted to get married on the property, so it was literally the last thing that happened. I think the next week they moved off the property and bulldozed the barn and the house and everything. So we were able to get some great pictures and last family outing. So family memories.
So it's always a fun, special place to get to. The view, as you can see here, is beautiful. There's a lot of wildlife. I know we saw a lot of ducks flying, probably south for the winter as we were riding in. So hopefully we'll get that.
I think the ducks
video.
are confused because it got really cold last week. Really cold. We had our coldest September day in
ever.
70 years.
Or 70 years.
So I think they're confused because now it's like 75 degrees. So
they're flying in circles for the winter. We're gonna get to showing you how to do some battery maintenance on your solar system. Danielle's going to show you her weekend at the yoga retreat, and at some point in time we get Annie from the airport. So
and if you are ever looking for a yoga wellness day spa in Gresham or even in Portland, come to Epidavros. It's a really fabulous weekend, very quality studio. I would highly recommend.
We'll put the links in the description below. There it is. But here we go. So last week we told you we were having some problems with our off-grid batteries, and we said we were going to test all of them. We were going to check the cables. We did test the batteries and found out that all the cells, their specific gravity using a battery tester, they all measured out good. Like I said, they've been charging up to the right level. They last about the right amount of time. It's just when we put a big load on them, they just drop really fast. And so I did some research, and what I found is something called sulfur crystallization, where sulfur is a byproduct of discharging in these batteries, can build up on the lead plates. And when the sulfur is there, it causes rapid discharge, which is exactly what we're having. So I took a look inside the batteries by opening up the lid of the battery where we fill the water. Well, actually, we fill the water through these valves, but if you didn't have the valves, it'd be the opening to fill it. And I noticed, yeah, there was quite a bit on there. Now, I did some reading on it. Basically, the way that you counteract that sulfurization is you EQ the batteries. And we've been EQing the batteries pretty much every week, but it just doesn't seem to be doing it enough. So this week, I did an hour every day. And then today, because it was nice and sunny, it was really sunny, actually yesterday and today, I've been EQing the batteries, and we've seen small measurable improvements. So I think I just need to up our EQ level. I did some research on these batteries, and there's no specific time for EQing or frequency for EQing. They basically just say as needed, which is not very helpful. But this is one of the problems with lead acid batteries. Eventually, I would like to upgrade these batteries, probably in about 3 years when they're not charging as well. That's the lifespan is about 3 to 7 years, so I'm just figure worst case scenario. We want to make our money's worth on them. If they last longer than 3 years, that's fine. But somewhere between that 3 to 7 year range, I'd like to upgrade them to a lithium-ion battery. Now, the reason we didn't put in lithium-ion batteries originally is lithium-ion is very expensive. It's more than twice the cost of lead-acid batteries, but they're starting to come down in price. So hopefully in another 2-3 years, it'll be more common technology and be less expensive. One thing I want to talk to you guys today about, since we're talking about batteries, is just some basics of lead-acid batteries if you choose to use float batteries and not lithium-ion batteries. There's a couple things you do need to consider. Now, I knew about the sulfur, and I also knew about the hydrogen outgassing. When you charge your batteries, you're basically, it's an electrolytic process, and so some of that water becomes oxygen and hydrogen. And the hydrogen isn't enough to be explosive, but it can be enough to reduce the oxygen levels and create some other problems. And also the sulfur can be a problem too. You can get a hydrogen sulfide meter. They're very expensive. They're a couple $100. If you choose to put the batteries in the basement like we did, that might be a problem. Now, it just so happens that this is also our laundry room, so we knew that basement, when we built this laundry room, we knew that when we built it, basement, shower, laundry, a lot of water, a lot of humidity, that can be a real problem, especially in Oregon for mold. So we put in tons of ventilation. We basically bought the biggest ventilation fan we can get. So when we thought about putting in an off-grid system, and we thought about where to put the batteries, this was the first place I thought of, because number one, the temperature is very constant down here. We've talked about that in previous episodes. For saving money on energy, having a basement is really helpful. Two, we really have excellent ventilation down here. So as long as our fans are running when we're charging our batteries, no problem. And the way I went about doing that is through our home automation system, our Samsung Smart Things, which is the home automation system we use. Anytime the charge kicks on, we kick on the fan down here, and it happens automatically through the Samsung automation program. So both our solar charger and our inverter, if we're charging off the grid, know to switch that. They send a signal to Smart Things. Smart Things says when this condition is on, turn that fan on. So that fan kicks on. So that we really haven't had any problems. Every once in a while, things got a little out of whack. And this is where the second point is, and I can't recommend this, but I can tell you what we do, because, you know, results may vary. But our carbon monoxide meter is extremely sensitive. We use the Nest Protect system, which is, if you ask me, the best fire and CO2 meter you can buy, and they're not crazy expensive. They're a little over $100. But we use the Nest Protect system. We have it on every level of the house, and it has picked up when we have, when these things are kicking out a lot. So if we forget to turn the fan on, it picks it up like right away. It's very sensitive. So I haven't ever really worried about this down here, because immediately if we're home, we hear it. If we're not, we get a notification on our phone to say, hey, there's CO2 in the basement. Now, it's not CO2, it's hydrogen sulfide, but you get the idea. So we're going to stay on this path of EQing the batteries. If you have an off-grid system, make sure, and you have float batteries, you're going to want to make sure you're doing your EQ schedule too. And I guess the thing I learned is look inside the battery. Since we're talking about batteries, I thought I'd show you the regular maintenance that I do on the batteries. Now, we do this, it depends. Usually in the winter, in the summertime, when we're charging a lot more, we do it more than in the fall and then the spring. The wintertime, because we have less sunlight, so we're charging more. In the summertime, we're running the air conditioner, so we're using more electricity. But it's usually somewhere around every 2 to 3 weeks. And what I'm looking for is when these level meters start to get low, I basically just go around to each one of the batteries and I fill it up. Now, this is actually just kind of show you some of the stuff I use. You can get these, I'll provide a link for these. You can get these off of, I can't remember if I got these off Amazon. I think I got them off Amazon, but either way, I'll provide a link for these. But they're a little float meter that fits right on top of your battery. There's a couple different styles based upon the style of battery you have. Each one of these has a little cap, and so you just remove the cap. I use, this is actually a condiment, like a ketchup bottle that I attached. I used some tubing, and I basically heated it up, attached it on the end. I just plug this right on the end here and pour the water in. Now, it's really important, you can see the water going in. You notice the level kind of drops a little bit as I'm pouring the water in, just because the water's pushing as it's flowing down, it's pushing the float down. So you want to stop every couple seconds, and you might even have to tap it, and then it'll come back up. Just do that a little bit more. I just go around until I fill up all of them, make sure they're all at the top level. Now, as far as the water goes, you want to make sure that you're using just water, nothing else. And when I say that, I don't mean stuff you get out of the tap, because when you pour water out of the tap, it has minerals in it, and possibly chlorine, some other chemicals that they use to keep you safe drinking the water. This is just pure water. You can either purchase distilled water, or you can make your own. I'll show you in a minute here how we make our own.
With that machine on the shelf?
That's right, Ben, with the machine on the shelf.
I didn't even know that, I just guessed.
See her? Do you see her? I don't see her yet. Do you see her? You're very upset. No, you can't sit on my lap. You have to sit in your seat. This is your seat over here. Okay. Do you see Annie girl? I don't know where she's at. Minnie, who is that? Look. Who is it? Minnie, who is that? Minnie, who is that? Who is that? Are you happy to see her? Yeah. A little bittersweet today. I harvested the rest of our tomatoes. We actually got quite a few, and cut all our tomato plants back for the winter. As you can see, most of them are green, and so what we're going to do is we're going to wash them. Got basically a whole, probably about a gallon full of tomatoes. We're going to wash them all, and then I'll bag them up in paper bags, and they will just ripen on their own. You can have them for the next month, but that's the end of all of our fruits for the year. Now we're just down to, we're going to start planting our winter crop for just veggies. And today I need to figure out some way to put my starts inside. I think I'm gonna put them on the front window, and I want to make some kind of like holder for them. I've got a whole bunch of different things we're gonna plant. Let's see, we got some lettuce. There we go. Got carrots and a whole bunch of kale. Whoop. Let's see, we also have cauliflower, some other greens and stuff like that. So we're gonna put those into some small containers, get the starts going, and then in a couple weeks, once these starts are looking good, then we can go ahead and put them out in the heated beds. That's a brightly colored shirt you have on, Ben.
I mean, I have to have everything if I'm gonna be on the road bike.
Yeah, Ben rides my dad's old bike, his triathlon bike, I guess. And you just got the build for it. You got those long legs. We're behind him, and I'm seeing him, and he's like effortlessly. I'm like, well, Danielle's on the electric bike, just hauling. I'm pedaling my rear end off on a mountain bike with big old knobby tires on it too, like down the drag is terrible. And then Ben's just kind of like
on the race bike,
whatever,
like full carbon fiber.
Yeah, his bike, the bike that my dad gave us, the triathlon bike, I think that thing maybe weighs like 3 pounds. It's like nothing. It's absolutely nothing. Well, Ben wanted to close out this session. We don't get him on camera very often. So
hey, it was Mom's suggestion.
Mom had the suggestion, but you went with it. That was a good idea.
And I took off my sweatshirt just so you could see.
So you could see
beautiful.
America. Nice.
Yes. And I even have the shorts, American shorts, but I'm not going to show you those.
There you go. Well, once again, you've made it through an entire episode with us. We're really glad that you came along with us. What should they do, Ben? Tell them.
They should like and subscribe.
Yeah, like our channel. No, like this video. Subscribe to our channel. Click on the bell. What does the bell do? Tell them about the bell, Ben.
The bell tells you of all the notifications. It notifies you when
there's
we come
a new
out
episode.
with a new
Because you want to
video.
know about it. And check out our blog, check out our website, check out our Facebook page. We got a new blog going up this week. You definitely want to read that. But for right now, Ben and I are saying
goodbye.